Good morning from Allentown, Pennsylvania. Today is Sunday, March 2nd, 2025. And we are kind of in a little interesting, forgotten industrial pocket in the greater Allentown area. What we're looking at here is Cedar Creek. And I started the video here because I just thought it was really interesting to see how it's got the railroad tie construction on both banks of this creek. So, the Lehigh Valley Railroad had two industrial branches through greater Allentown. They had the West End branch and they had the Barber Quarry Branch. This is some of the industrial area that the Barber Quarry Branch once serviced. Now the Barber branch wasn't a very long branch line, only a couple of miles or so. Broke off the Lehigh Valley main line to the east of here. And it ran a few miles following the Little Lehigh Creek. And then it followed the Cedar Creek for a little while, up to a quarry, which is up in this area. And then further on, it crossed Hamilton Street. If you're familiar with Allentown, you know where Hamilton Street is. It ran out to Hamilton Street. There used to be a memorial place out there. When I say memorial, a business that created headstones, or that made headstones. So they would transport raw granite to that particular business. That was one of the things that they transported. They also, from what I've read, there was a flour mill back in this area, and I've been told that there was a meat rendering facility back in this area as well. Now this area has since been, well, I believe the Barber branch was abandoned in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. Probably around the same time that the valley became part of Conrail. If it lasted longer than that, I'd be surprised. If it went out before that, I wouldn't be surprised. But after that land was after that line was abandoned, I don't know how long after, but eventually this area became. There's a sewer line that runs through it. It's part of the Public Works sewer line system that they used this area to build that once it was no longer an industrial area. I think I'm getting all this stuff right. I'll show you the sewer thing in a minute. So this bridge right here, which I just found a couple of weeks ago when I was back here rooting around, this used to be access to get up to what is Martin Luther King Road now. I'm sure when this bridge and all this was going on, I don't think that was Martin Luther King Road at the time. I don't remember what the name of this road was before Martin Luther King Boulevard, because it's always been Martin Luther King Boulevard for as long as I've lived in the area. But this was your vehicle access to get to your main road, and then down here into the industrial complex of whatever was being produced or done or transported or manufactured down in this area. But the stone lining of the creek, down here, we just saw it was railroad ties up there. This creek's clearly been manipulated many times. I wouldn't be surprised if there were mill races or dams at some point providing water power for whatever industries were going on. There's various remains that I'm gonna show you as we walk towards the main feature of this video. That's one of our sewer, the modern day sewer that runs through here, sewer line. I've noticed in many of my travels that sewage lines, gas lines, usually electrical lines, tend to utilize former railroad right-of-ways, which I guess is kind of poetic considering that railroads had a tendency to utilize former canal right-of-ways. So as time passes, each new enterprise gets to utilize what was left from the previous It doesn't happen all the time, but it's just something I've noticed throughout my journeys. Now there was a piece of rail back here that I found a couple of weeks ago, and of course, now that I want to show you is I can't find it. I walked around quite a bit, spooked a few deer out of here too, which is really neat. See them running around so close to the city. All right, over here we've got some remains of a wall. So I've looked at an old map of the Barber Branch, and it looks like not only did it come through here with a single track continuing to its final destination, but there were many little sidings in this area too, according to the map, which makes sense if there were different various industries. Nothing special here, just a wall, but at one point served a purpose for something. Maybe to keep the water back, but I'm thinking no, probably for a building. I would love to explore more of the Barber Branch, especially to the east of us. There's a bridge that was recently removed that crosses the Little Lehigh Creek about a year ago, maybe less, and it was replaced with a vehicle bridge, which leads me to believe they're getting ready to develop that area down there where this branch first broke off the main line. There's also a bunch of other stuff down there. There's some Central Railroad of New Jersey remains. So I'd like to get down that way one day, but I don't think today is going to be it. I think we're just going to stick with this one video today. This is an old valve house of some sort. So this would have been part of whatever industry was happening at the time back here. Other industries that the Barber Branch provided service to, and one that's actually pretty fascinating, is there was the Barber Factory, which I believe either produced nails or wire, if I'm not mistaken. That was further down. What road is that? Well, there's a grade crossing at 10th Street that's not far from here, but that was next to a much bigger building that's actually being renovated into apartments, I think now. That was a huge industry too. I forget which one that one was. But down where the Barber Factory was, there's now Riverbend Apartments is down there. Parquette's Dance Academy, I think is a charter school. All that area down there, that actually used to be a neighborhood with row homes, and then across from that, I believe, was the Barber Factory, if I have it right. And if you went down there now, you would never, all the row homes have been since removed decades ago. Like I said, it's Riverbend Apartments, the Barber Quarry, the Barber Factory's been torn down. I never even knew what that looked like. I think I'm getting all this right. But this spur, it serviced a lot of little industries and bigger industries. Like I said, it was one of two that serviced Center City, Allentown, two Lehigh Valley Railroad branches. So this spot is neat here. I'm wondering, as you're gonna see, we've got some ties over here. And I can't help but wonder if this is maybe an elevated track, an elevated siding at one point. You've got your concrete pillars, your rail ties right here. So I'm wondering if maybe a little branch came off of the what we'll call the main, though it was just a spur, came off the spur, a spur off the spur, and came up to here, and who knows, I'm just speculating. But there's not many railroad remains in the area, so when I see the ties, it makes me happy. I'm not sure what these guys would have been for either. All right, well, let's make our way to the the show, or the star of the show. There's an old wooden trestle. Well, it's wooden. It does have some steel on it too. It's not completely wooden, as you'll see in a minute. But it crosses the Little Lehigh Creek here. And I recently saw an upload from another explorer on YouTube. And he had mentioned in this video that he heard that it's possible that this bridge is slated to be taken down. So I don't want to spread any rumors that aren't necessarily true. This is just what I heard on a different YouTube video. So I wanted to get out here and take my crack at recording the area. This bridge that we're about to walk across has been one of my favorite ones ever since I moved to the area. I've been across it a couple times. It's a really neat structure. I know a lot of the local fishermen like to fish off of it. The Little Lehigh Creek is actually not far from the Little Lehigh Trout Nursery, where trout for the area are grown, farmed, and then released into local waters. So this is a great spot for guys that like to fish at. So I know they'd be bummed if it got torn down. Again, I cannot confirm that it's actually coming down. To be honest with you, I'm surprised nature hasn't brought the thing down already, but it's still here. And we're gonna go take a walk across it. Another one of them sewer things. You can see the sewer line. I believe, yeah, it's right on. This is the grade right here. And then it would have went off that way with various sidings into the different industries that were back there. All right, here we go. The Little Lehigh Creek Trestle, built by the Lehigh Valley Railroad. I couldn't tell you the build date on it, but I believe the line went into existence in 1890. So I don't think it's that old, but it's not that young either. All right, here we go. See, there's quite a large buildup of debris along most of it, but it was cleared out here. Hey, geese. So when we get to the other side, I'll show you. I did a short video on this bridge, and it definitely looks janky, but it's pretty solid. The ties are actually quite solid, all things considered. But again, I mean, this might have ran, although the 70s was a long time ago. I have to remember that the 70s was a long time ago. Being born in 78, I often forget that I'm as old as I am. Sometimes. Yeah, the 70s were a while ago. So that was the last time any kind of maintenance would have been done on this bridge. And then down here we have a nice stone arch bridge. That thing's been hit multiple times by multiple vehicles over the years. It's a real tight turn in there where that bridge is that I was just showing you. So this looks like it's definitely had water. Oh yeah, up above it at one point, especially at this spot right here. A little Lehigh can get up there sometimes in height. Very beautiful area. We're right near the Lehigh Parkway in Allentown, PA. Parking lot for it. There are many parking lots for the Lehigh Parkway. Great area. Actually, something else neat about the Lehigh Parkway is, and I'm not exactly sure where, but I've been told that there's a lot of stonework in Lehigh Parkway, and some of the newer stonework, and by newer I mean maybe within the last 40-50 years or so, maybe even more recent, not 100% sure. Actually might have been done when the park was, I wish I had my facts straight on this one. It might have been done by the Civil Corps of Engineers back in the 40s during the Get to Work programs. And what I believe they did is they took old stones from an Allentown and Auburn bridge abutment and moved them down here to the Parkway and built something with it. Part of a wall, I believe, or something. But that's a pretty neat story. If you're familiar with the channel, you know Allentown and Auburn. On a smaller scale, but much like the South Pennsylvania Railroad, one of them railroads that dumped a huge amount of money into it, it's an infrastructure, but then never had a single train traverse it. Sorry, I'm all over the place with my stories right now. It's actually a frisbee golf course at the end of this bridge, as you'll see in a second. So you get it. It's wooden trestle. Not a whole lot of these in the area. There's a couple up on the Reading and Northern Minersville branch up near the new St. Nicholas coal breaker. There's a couple of wooden trestles that are in remarkable shape, obviously because they're still being utilized. So it's neat to see those still get used once in a while. But yeah, this thing here is pretty cool. I've been on some old abandoned bridges where the ties are just absolute mush, and these are actually quite solid. Okay. This is all floodplain here, so hence the reason that it's elevated way before it even hits the Little Lehigh Creek. So yeah, like I said, if it's true that this thing is going to be taken down in the future, I just wanted to, you know, do a little documentation about it. Sorry about the length of this video. I didn't intend for it to be as long as it is. And there we have it, the Little Lehigh Creek trestle built by the Lehigh Valley Railroad. Thanks, folks.